Welcome back, tribe. Got an interesting one here. We'll break it down in little bits. Modern dating is impossible, and they're interviewing psychiatrists. He has good insight, and it's a departure from the surface level entertainment, watching women cry stuff. So if you're here to learn something, let it play.
Like, according to the General Social Survey, about 1 in 3 men have not had any sex in the last 12 months, which has tripled from the rate 10 years ago. So 1 in 3 men under 30 are functionally invisible in the sexual marketplace. That's a very sensitive time in the game of mating and dating, between 20 and 30, right? So we know that relationships are in a decline, which is actually kind of strange because it seems like it has never been easier with the uses of certain technologies to get into relationships. So it's a little counterintuitive, right? So there's a number of reasons why this is happening, okay? You focused specifically on successful individuals, and that is on some level part of the issue. So one dimension of this is that women increasingly are using their 20s to not prioritize getting into long-term relationships. On the whole, they're either prioritizing, let's say, fun, hedonistic pleasure like travel or short-term relationships, or their education and their career, okay? And this delays them seeking and finding long-term relationships until later in life. And this is potentially problematic for a number of reasons. First of all, the game of mating and dating shifts significantly at age 30. Age 30 is basically when the average man's sexual marketplace value exceeds the average woman's sexual marketplace value for the very first time, and it will never reverse after that point. So in their 20s, women enjoy a relative advantage in the game of mating and dating.
Huge relative advantage. The life of a 21-year-old woman versus the life of a 21-year-old man. Could it be further apart? Let me just spell it out for you. Here's the reality of what most of you are going through today. The older audience won't be able to relate to this, but all you younger guys, you come home from a dead-end job, you fire up the PlayStation or the Xbox, you game with your boys for I don't know how many hours, it doesn't matter, or you've got a few classes that you got to go to school, you come back, fire up the console, do your homework, take your exams, go back to your dead-end job, or some form of this one way or the other, where you're coming home, you're not going out, spending any money because you rarely have any. Inflation and rent and wages have stagnated to such a degree that you can't even go out and spend money on entertainment to enjoy yourself. You could maybe afford a video game here or there. That gives you the most bang for your buck. You're hanging out with your boys. Some of you are living a life where most of your friends are not even from your state. Your friends are the guys you game with online. This is how pervasive gaming has become. Some will defend this, others won't. That's not the part that matters here. What's important to note is that at 21 years old, that girl is going to all the 5-star restaurants in town. And I'm not saying all of them, but a vast majority of them, assuming she's pretty, has been courted by men much older than you at 30 plus years old. And she's taking full advantage. She's been to multiple states, has been on boats most likely. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm just saying the power of being a beautiful woman in her 20s has unlocked a lifestyle that a man will never get to see until he's in his 30s. And that's if he was successful in his 30s. Most guys won't be able to achieve or have lived a life comparable to what a woman has experienced until they're in their like 40s, 50s, 60s, when their pockets have gotten deep, when they are big in their careers, when they're maybe owners of multiple businesses, that they're able to travel, fly around. They're able to take the boat out, the yacht out. They're able to go see things. They're go on safaris, go to the Maldives, go to whatever. I have talked to multiple girls, dude, that I've been dating even here in Eastern Europe, not just the ones in America, but it's staggering. It's jaw dropping to see that just a beautiful woman in her 20s has already been to all the nice restaurants, has been to house parties in the mansions in the hills, has been to exotic locations already, has been flown out, has experienced private VIPs in the clubs with bottles being brought worth thousands of dollars simply through the access of her beauty. You guys don't understand, or some of you do, but the chasm of a lived life and experiences between a 21-year-old man is insane. They have nothing to really talk about with one another. You may be scrounging up at 21 years old money to take her out to like a franchise restaurant. Do you notice that women go, if he takes me to a chain restaurant, that's giving broke vibes? Do you know why they say this? To you, it seems like inconsiderate. To you, it seems like, why would she do that? Wow, she's so stuck up. No, because her lived reality is every man takes her to the 5-star steak place where one is $500, one steak alone. She's eating out for $1,000 a night, $700, $800 a night with distinguished men that are successful in their lives, that are also decades older than you. This is the reality. They're simply projecting out their day-to-day experiences to most men that are interested in them, which most men cannot reach that level yet, especially when you're around their same age. This is why women prefer older men anyways, and this is why younger men are struggling so much today, because social media and technology, dating apps, has given women access by the millions to the kinds of men that were hard to access before. It's allowed women to choose every single man they want. Literally, dude, it's like walking into the candy store is the perfect analogy. A beautiful young woman today can walk into this candy store and have the assortment of chocolates from all over the world, whatever, from milk to dark, whatever it is that you want, in whatever flavor, in whatever quantity. Simply because you're beautiful and you have a beautiful Instagram account, you will be shocked. I still get my mind blown when I'm talking to a beautiful woman and we're exchanging information or whatever, pillow talk, and I see the Instagram and I see the DMs, and she's, because I'm not being judgmental, I'm just saying, hey, I've been through my experiences, I've done everything I want, what's some stuff you've done? Just getting some information, and at the same time, just gauging where I'm at, who I'm competing with. The amount of blue check marks, and not bought blue check marks, like famous people in some industry or realm or whatever it is of society is in this girl's DMs. It blows your mind. And you think you at 21 years old, where your lived experiences coming home, playing video games with the boys, you have any shot at the girl that's, 19, 20, 21, all the way up to 30, pretty much, as long as she's beautiful. Come on, man. It's insane. The cards are so stacked against you as a man today. It's insane. That is why this whole 80-20 Pareto principle, that's why only the top 5% of men are getting matches. That's because the ability to choose for women has been jacked with steroids. It's on hyperdrive. They've never had these many options before. And women are doing what they naturally have been doing since the dawn of man, choosing the best they could possibly get in the current moment. That's what it is. Competition is in hyperdrive today. It's not that social media is a singular point of failure in dating today or technology or all that. It's just enhanced our biological drives. We're just seeing what we're really biologically driven to do since the dawn of man. She's no longer limited to her little village and getting the best man she could get from the village or the town or the regional city. She's got the whole world. And that's what you're seeing today. Now, going back to when I was 19, 20, 21, I had no chance. I was freshly graduated from high school, pretty much a hermit, took a few years off, didn't know what I wanted to do for college. I would game. I had a dead-end job working at some auto parts sales store. Think of like an AutoZone, O'Reilly's, all those. Advanced Auto Parts, shit like that, making minimum hourly wages, absolutely dead broke, doing a part-time job, living with my parents, imagining one day that I would be where I am today, imagining one day that would actually be somebody, that my phone would ring, that someone would send me a text message. I had a cell phone back then, bro, where, how friends move on. When you graduate high school, everybody's going to college, they're getting girlfriends, their life is moving on. You don't see your boys anymore. People lose touch. My phone wouldn't ring or wouldn't send a text message for weeks at a time. I was just your typical gamer, dude. I was like every one of you that watch these videos. And the only text messages I would get is literally from like Amazon. We've delivered a package to your house. It'd be something stupid like a graphics card if I could afford one after working for weeks, months. Little wrist straps for the gym. Dumb little trinkets that I could buy for myself to make myself happier because my life was miserable. It was empty. It felt dead. I was doing nothing. I was going nowhere. And to look on Facebook or Instagram and see classmates and what the hot girls were doing, the ones you had a crush on, or just any beautiful woman you come across on social media as the algorithm's feeding you all that crap. You see what people are doing. Things you could never dream of as a man in that position, dude. The average man's existence is silent hell. You have to bust your ass to become valuable in the eyes of the world. That's why I always tell you guys, build in your 20s, play in your 30s, because you have no shot in your 20s. Unless you hit the magic skip button where you figured out what you wanted to do in life and you became uber successful and you're worth millions of dollars at 20-something years old already, then you won the jackpot, my friend. You got rich early while you're still young, handsome, and have your whole life ahead of you to live. And that's not the reality for most people. Most people will never reach that million until they're in their 50s, 60s. And that's over a lifetime of earnings. Very few start making hundreds of thousands a year. And the vast majority of men will never get to experience the lifestyle, a beautiful woman that I described earlier. How many of you take your vacation once a year. How many of you take your vacation, if at all, in 5 years? Most of us are getting worked to death. I know what it's like for the average American worker. I've seen it in my own father. I've seen it in all my friends. You rarely go on vacation. A vacation is considered visiting family somewhere in the city nearby, or a 6-hour drive to the beach, or something like that, Memorial Day weekend. How many of you get to travel overseas? How many of you get to go to a nice exotic location that's not Mexico? How many of you get to really go and see the world? Not many, dude. You think a man at 21 has that ability? It's crazy. But a 21-year-old woman has and can and will show it off on Instagram and gets paid to do it today, too. I noticed early when I was bartending in college that the difference in wages earned between a woman and a man was completely different than the wage gap that they're telling us. Maybe in the corporate world, men are earning more because they're staying and working longer. But in the service industry, women are absolutely destroying men. Women bartenders, servers were destroying the guys. I was young, handsome, all that stuff, charismatic. I could speak, make people laugh. Women loved me. They hired me at the bar. I was easygoing, easy to talk to. Women were trying to get my attention. Still couldn't even make half of what the girls were making. The average looking girls, forget the ones that had the push-up bras, squeezing their boobs together. Forget the ones dressing up in the fishnet with the tight skirts, getting all the thirsty guys, the drunk men, to tip them big to get their attention and maybe get their number. Forget that, dude. Even the average uggos were destroying me in tips simply for the fact that they're women. And we never talk about that side. If you're in the service industry, you know exactly what I'm saying. And a lot of these women would get hired immediately into like a bartender position just because of her rack. I had to work my way up from being a bar back. But yet I memorized how to make hundreds of drinks. That girl only knew how to make like a vodka tonic, vodka cranberry, do the most basic drinks ever. And it's okay because she's pretty. And that's just the nightclub scene or the bar scene. You just put the pretty people up front and get people spending and try to get their attention. I mean, that's the game, dude. I'm not mad at it. It's just the reality of what we're facing. Competition is only going to get higher and higher and higher, guys. This is not going to go away anytime soon. The reason so many guys do the passport bro stuff, let me tell you, is because you're going into a depressed dating market, if you want to call it that. You're coming in with extremely high salary versus the local population, as well as exoticism. If you do the expat life, I'm not talking, forget the passport bro passing through. I'm talking about you relocate your life to change your financial outlook and become independent quicker. Make your dollar go 10 times further. You're a prize in everybody's eyes. Absolutely. It would be the equivalent of being a multimillionaire in America. Imagine if you're a multimillionaire and exotic in America. Dude, it's not hard. That's the game that's being played. That's what women are looking for. So you go into these exotic locales where you yourself are different and you have higher wages and you can support an entire family. You're absolutely a goldmine. All the women are looking at. You're having a success and they will treat you with respect. See, there's a second part of this that is missing in the West today, that the women there are still humble. They're still family oriented. Yes, and they are educated. Make no mistake, these women are going to college for the most part, speaking multiple languages. You would be surprised just how cultured and educated some of these people are that you go to in these countries. They're not backwoods living in the most decrepit, dirty conditions that the women from the West try to make it out to seem. No, these are hardworking individuals busting their ass, learning multiple languages, going to school, trying to provide for their family to give them a better life, especially their parents. And you'll be shocked that these women, although are educated and are working, still value above all family, the husband, kids. Having a job is nice. Being educated is nice. They want to just help their family. But once they get a man, they want a capable man so that they can quit all of that, be at home with the children, raise kids, take care of their husband. That's the primary driver, period. The difference in the West is she wants her career first. She wants her money first. She wants everything for her first. It's the me, me, me. What do I get out of you? You, Mr. Walking Wallet, Mr. Spineless Turd, Mr. Let's open up our relationship, Mr. Destiny Build. You don't take care of yourself, you get used. Women in the West are professional extractors today, and men have become professional extractees. You're handing her the wallet. There's a pushback. We're seeing it with the soft boy era, drizzle, all that crap. But that's never going to get you a real woman. That's just combating the degeneracy. That's just saying no to low quality, low value women. Because when you find a high value woman, a traditional woman that you want, the drizzle stuff's not going to work. Of course, it's just a parody of the dating characteristics of the West today, where women who are hardly women anymore, super masculine, extremely demanding and selfish, are being lambasted by the other side. Essentially, that's what it is, the joke on the current market and the delusion that we're all seeing. Okay, that was a mean rant. Let's go play the rest.
Dating, and that advantage comes with certain privileges that if they're exploited, make it easier to secure relationships on their terms. But if they wait until after 30, when the balance of power kind of shifts, they find that it might be surprisingly difficult to secure relationships on their terms. Now that the men become increasingly powerful after that point, they are able to more secure relationships on their terms. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. And so when you think about, I mean, maybe the last 20, 30 years or so, a lot more women have been going into the workplace, and they've been making equal or more money than men,
Sure.
right? Which I think is a great thing, but there's also a trade-off there.
There's a huge trade-off, which is I think that most women will only seriously consider a long-term relationship if they perceive that they will significantly benefit. I think that if it's kind of a wash, it's actually a loss because they foreclose on future opportunities that might be better. And if it's not going to improve their life, it's just like an automatic no-go for the vast majority of women. But what that means as women become more successful, both in terms of their educational attainment and their income and their lifestyles, it's harder for men to offer them a significantly better offer. And a lot of women, I think understandably, might prefer to be single and unpartnered than to be partnered with a man that they perceive to be a liability.
Right. And I think you had a quote around how, I'm paraphrasing here, but how women should look at men as jobs, or maybe not should, but men do.
They do.
Okay, go
Whether
for it.
they should or not.
Yeah.
Women generally treat men the way men treat jobs, which is on some level, they are going to enter into a relationship with their perceived best option. And that's a tricky thing because what constitutes a person's perceived best option changes from individual to individual and across time. Like, for example, some people at one stage of their career might just prioritize earning potential. Like, that's the most important thing. They don't care if they have to work long hours. They don't care if they have to commute. They don't care if they don't have a lot of influence in the company. They just want to make bank. But that might change later on in life. Maybe they have children. They want more flexibility. They want to work fewer hours. So the overall best option for employment changes over the course of a career. Same thing for a relationship. Right. That also is part of the reason why it's so hard to stay together in the long term, is because people's individual goals shift significantly over the course of their relationships. And it's hard for one person to evolve in tandem with that set of shifting priorities. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. So okay, if we back up a second, so women are...
And then I'll touch up on that point enough because I've been ranting like crazy. The evolving aspect of that relationship where the needs and wants are constantly changing. I've always told you guys, and I'll refresh you on this, is that you always need to be improving in your relationship. You need to constantly get better. You cannot regress in your relationship as a man in terms of your looks. And I don't mean like you're aging and you're not becoming as handsome. You're still going to be handsome in her eyes, but don't get the beer gut. Don't get fat. Don't become unhygienic. Keep taking care of yourself. Keep improving. Keep finding new hobbies. Keep learning new skills. Keep evolving. Keep her looking up to you. That's the most important thing. If it seems like you're stagnating in her eyes, if you lose your individuality, this is super important. When you meet a woman and you really like her and the balance of power is basically in your favor because she's chasing you for a relationship. You already had sex. When you're down here before you have sex, you're the one chasing up, proving to her you're worthy of sex. Once you have sex, the shift completely changes where she has to prove to you that you should keep her around. That's the natural order of how this works. Now, when she does finally prove and meet you equal, that the sex, you're worthy of it, the relationship, she's worthy of it, you have to keep improving. You have to always keep finding new hobbies so that she's always chasing up at you and proving why you should keep her. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because once this playing field is equal, and if you start to let yourself go, she looks down on you and thinks she can do better, knows she can do better. Now you're down here, and all the men that she's meeting throughout her day, whether at work or getting gas or getting groceries, are somewhere up here above you. Do you understand the temptation there? That you've lost the value in your woman's eyes because you've let yourself go in your relationship. And it's not just letting yourself go, physically speaking. It's also your identity, your individualism, keeping your boundaries as a man. When you first meet, you're somebody completely different than who you are with her in 5 years. Do you know why? Because you've put her up on the pedestal. You've seen her through a loving point of view. I love this woman. I want to treat her equal. I want to treat her better than how you were kind of dismissing her before. then kind of how you were prioritizing yourself first. Now you prioritize her. You, instead of going to the gym, instead of picking up a new hobby, instead of hanging out with the boys and going hiking, instead of whatever it is that you used to love to do, your hobbies, you prioritize her. You get yourself lost in her now, in her identity, in her life, in her problems, and you lose yourself. Therefore, she loses respect for you. This happens all the time in relationships. Think about the simplest one everybody knows is relationship weight gain. You get together, you in the lust phase, you can't stop spending time together. What happens? You start to, enable each other. You want to feel good all the time. So let's order food. Let's eat all crap. Let's not go to the gym. Let's sit on the couch. Let's cuddle up. Let's do all this shit. Let's forget who we both were as individuals and how we got here, that we loved one another, that we find each other attractive. Forget all that. Let's completely blow it all up counterintuitively by spending too much time together, by having no boundaries with one another, by enabling the worst in one another. And that's essentially what's happening in most relationships. That's how people wake up one day and they can't even realize who they've become, who they are. They don't even know who their partner is. People completely change over time, and it's not for the better, it's for the worse. When you get into a relationship with a woman, never ever lose your identity. Put yourself above her all the time. Always. She has to always be the one chasing you on that upward trajectory, like I told you. Because the moment you stop improving, and you should be doing this naturally as a man anyway, that's what makes life interesting. Don't look at this as a negative, dude. Who wants to stagnate and never learn anything new? Never experience what there is to experience in life? That's the fun part. Always look to be doing more, to becoming more, to being more, to learning more, to pushing your body to its absolute limit. See what you're capable of. This should come naturally to you as a man anyways. But you get into a relationship with a woman you start to love and you forget who you are, what your mission is. You lose your identity, and eventually you'll lose your woman. Find yourself first. Then you're able to lead a woman. Because once you've found who you really are, once you're true to yourself, nobody that comes into your life will ever be able to change you who you are foundationally. You don't have to change the way you behave for somebody else. You don't have to impress anybody by doing what they want all the time. You're always doing what you want. And the people that come into your life are the cherry on top, not the whole cake. You don't become somebody for someone. You are, and they add to your life. That's it, man. And that's one of the keys to the game. Anywho, I could rant on this kind of stuff for hours. If you enjoy these kinds of rants more, let me know and I'll do them more and more. We'll mix them in with the normal reactions, but I've been kind of leaning towards this direction anyway. So let me know. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be reading them as usual, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody.